Hello and welcome to Salina A&E. My name is David Hawksworth and we're here at Salina Arts and Humanities with Sarah Keck, who's the Arts Education Coordinator. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you back. We're here to talk about the Spring Poetry Series, and this year is kind of a landmark year.
Yes, it's going to be the 40th anniversary, so we're very excited about it.
Yeah, and even more special is basically the person who started it is going to be one of the poets.
Yes, I'm excited to share about this year's lineup.
Yeah. Okay, so normally we have 4 poets, but we have 5 Tuesdays in this month, and the
Yes.
Spring Poetry Series is always on Tuesday evenings. So we have 5 poets because we have 5 Tuesdays.
Yes, so April is National Poetry Month, and we're going to be having a series of poets come read in Salina, and luckily with the 40th anniversary, we had 5 Tuesdays, so we're going to use them all up. And as a part of that, we're going to have 5 poets from the region actually come in during that time. We're very fortunate to have a partnership with poet laureates, both on a state and a national level, work with us to curate the series. And this year we had Tracy Brimhall, who read as a member of the series last year. She curated for the first time this year. And we're going to have 2 from the Kansas City area, 2 from Salina, and 1 from Nebraska coming in.
Okay,
So.
cool. We should mention where this is being held.
Yes, this is going to be at Red Fern Booksellers, also for the first time this year. That's going to be at 106 South Santa Fe. It's going to be 7 p.m. on each Tuesday in April. It's going to be $5 cash entry at the door, but it's free for students with ID.
Okay,
So.
all right. Well, Red Fern is really a great atmosphere. If you haven't been in there yet, it's been open, about 8 or 9 months now?
Yes, about that time.
So yeah, it's going to be a great place to have the Spring Poetry Series. So let's kind of jump right in. We have the first one on Tuesday, April 2nd, I believe it is.
Yes, we're going to kick it off on April 2nd with Cash Hollister. Many in the community recognize him for his music career, but he's also a very talented spoken word poet, and so it's really exciting to get to hear more of his poetry and an opportunity to see his work from a different perspective. On April 9th, we're going to have Hadara Barnadov, who's from Kansas City and teaches at UMKC. Her latest work is about the body, trauma, and the pharmaceutical industry. And she talks about poetry as a conversation and as a very vital piece of communication. So the way that she writes about these topics and the meaningful intention in connecting with others in response to what's going on, or maybe to another artist's work, it's a really powerful experience for the audience members to get to be a part of. On April 16th, we have Laura Lee Washburn, who teaches out in Pittsburgh, Kansas. I was talking with Tracy Brimhall about her work, and she had a really beautiful way of describing it, saying it courts the mysterious and the complicated nature of beauty. And the way that Laura Lee Washburn writes is very relatable, and I anticipate it to resonate with a variety of members across the community. On April 23rd, we have Bradford Tice, and he teaches in Lincoln, but he's from Omaha, Nebraska. And he has a really creative way of storytelling. In one of his recent collections, he unites mythic figures with the events leading up to the Stonewall riots. So he also experiences or explores voice in a way that he explores persona. And when we often hear poetry, it's from the experience of the writer themselves. But using persona, he uses an assumed voice as a narrator. And so the way that he explores those different narrators really looks at stories from some unique and intriguing perspectives. And then, of course, we get to close the series with Patricia Traxler. And Patricia, of course, was a co-founder of the series. Right. Her work is very thoughtful in the way that she plays with language, in the way that she uses word choice, inflection, and exploring the power and the weight of the unspoken. And many of the poems enact the interplay between spirit and landscape. She's read and lectured across the country, as well as receiving international and national level awards. So we are very fortunate to be able to have her closing out the special 40th anniversary of the poetry series.
Yeah. Well, certainly a wide array of poets and diverse voices.
Yes, or a lot of times, first time an audience member coming to the poetry series has only experienced it through an academic approach where they studied it at school, so they thought that it was very kind of formulaic and, you know, there's rules to this, and I can't really relate to that. But the first time that they come to the series, they get to see that there's such a variety in the ways that we can share it, and the amount of people that, you know, we can participate in, and it is for us, and you just get to explore and break rules all the time. So it's a very interesting art form that can take on so many different forms, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You probably won't hear a whole lot of iambic pentameter in these poets, but that's okay. Even the poets that write in that, they're expressing themselves, and it's an art unto itself sometimes.
Yes, and it's very interesting because we do have every single poet that we happen to have in the series this year is a professor or does a lot of teaching. And so it's interesting to hear them write and read in their own work. Yes, they may be using those skills, but the way that they share has a lot of freedom in it.
And hearing the poems come from the poet will really give you a different perspective than just reading it on the page.
Yes, I think that's part of what makes the poetry series and readings unique, and why people should take a chance and kind of get out of their comfort zone to come see them, because whenever you step into that environment, it's always very welcoming with the poetry series. And whenever you go in and you're hearing these works from these poets that are often bearing their innermost thoughts or their soul, it's a different type of energy in the room, and the way that the community really accepts that and gets to ask questions about it, because it's 45 minutes of reading and then a quick 15-minute Q&A at the end. So it's a very quick experience, but it's something that can't be replicated because it's live moments by live poets. So, yeah.
And sometimes, depending on how the poet reads and the subject matter, it can be so intense that you can literally hear a pin drop in the room.
Yes, that's part of what makes it so special, is just feeling that and hearing that, that's something that they have written and created themselves and are sharing with us.
Okay, well, it's going to be a fabulous Tuesday night fabulous Tuesday nights in April.
Yep, 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m. at Red Fern Booksellers, just south of Iron and Santa Fe.
Yes, yeah.
All right. So just to recap, April 2nd is Cash Hollister. April 9th, Hadara Barnadav. April 16th is Laura Lee Washburn. April 23rd is Bradford Tice. And April 30th is Patricia Traxler. All right, well, we're certainly looking forward to Tuesday nights at Red Fern Booksellers in April. So, Sarah, really appreciate your time. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for coming out.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.